Hey everyone, welcome back to Mindful English. I'm Sarah, and I'm sitting here with Liam.
Hey everyone, good to be here.
Liam, do you ever start learning something with tons of motivation and then quit 3 days later?
I have a confession that I think a lot of our listeners will relate to. Whenever I decide to learn a new skill, whether it's a new language, playing the guitar, or starting a fitness routine, I always make the exact same mistake. I wake up on a Monday morning incredibly motivated. I decide to go all in. I study for 4 hours straight. I do the exact same thing on Tuesday. But by Wednesday, I am completely exhausted. I skip a day, then I skip 2 days, and by the weekend, I just completely give up.
Oh, the all or nothing trap. It is the most common, heartbreaking cycle in the world. We are completely brainwashed by movie montages. We think that massive success requires massive, exhausting action. We believe that intensity is the secret to changing our lives.
But that's not how it works, is it?
Here is the absolute, scientifically proven truth. Intensity will always lose to consistency. And today, we're going to show you why 15 minutes a day beats 4 hours once a week every single time. We're talking ice cubes, bamboo trees, and the hidden math of success.
Let's get into it.
Intensity loses to consistency. That is a bold statement, because sitting at a desk for 4 hours feels like you are doing so much work.
It feels productive, but it's actually a fast track to failure. Your brain and body cannot sustain that level of friction. You inevitably burn out.
If you want to actually master English, or any complex skill, you have to stop obsessing over intensity and embrace the quiet, unsexy power of consistency. Doing something for 15 minutes a day for a year will completely transform your life. Doing something for 10 hours a day for a week will just make you hate it.
I know that is true. But Sarah, here is the biggest psychological problem with consistency. When you only do 15 minutes a day, you don't see any immediate results.
You study English for 15 minutes a day for a whole month, and you still can't understand a native speaker. You go to the gym for a month, and you look exactly the same in the mirror. Because there is no visible reward, you assume your daily effort isn't working, so you just quit.
And that's the tragedy. You quit right before the breakthrough.
Exactly. And that is where you hit what psychologists call the valley of disappointment. To survive that phase, you have to understand how progress actually works.
How does progress actually work? Because from the inside, it feels like nothing is happening.
James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, uses the most brilliant metaphor for this. Imagine you are sitting in a freezing cold room. There is an ice cube sitting on the table in front of you. It is 25 degrees. You slowly heat the room. 26 degrees, 27 degrees, 28 degrees. You are putting in energy, but the ice cube does not change at all. You heat it to 29, 30, 31 degrees, still nothing.
Okay, the ice is still completely solid.
Right, but then you hit 32 degrees. The ice begins to melt. Here's the secret. The energy you put in from 25 to 31 degrees was not wasted. It was just being stored. The heat was quietly building up inside the ice. The melting didn't happen because of the final degree. It happened because of all the invisible work that came before it.
Wow, that perfectly explains language learning. You think your 15 minutes of daily vocabulary practice is doing absolutely nothing. You feel like you are failing. But you aren't failing. You are just at 30 degrees.
Exactly. And this is why most people quit. They put in the work at 25, 26, 27 degrees. They don't see any change. So they assume the work isn't working, and they stop right before they hit 32 degrees.
They never get to see the ice melt because they gave up 1 degree too early.
Precisely. And the cruel part is, you can't see the temperature rising. From the outside, 25 degrees and 31 degrees look identical. The ice looks exactly the same. But internally, everything is changing.
So when people say, "I've been studying for months and I'm not getting better," what they really mean is, "I'm at 30 degrees and I can't see the heat building up inside me."
Yes. And if they just trusted the process and kept going, they'd hit 32 degrees, and suddenly everything would click. Words they've been studying for months would suddenly start flowing naturally. Grammar they struggled with would suddenly make sense.
Because the foundation was being built the whole time, even though they couldn't see it.
And nature actually has the exact same rule. Have you ever heard the story of the Chinese bamboo tree?
I haven't. What happens with the bamboo tree?
When you plant the seed of a Chinese bamboo tree, you have to water it and fertilize the soil every single day. For the entire first year, absolutely nothing happens. The soil is just flat dirt. You keep watering it for the second year, still nothing. The third year, the fourth year, absolutely zero visible growth above the ground. Most people would abandon the seed by then.
I would have stopped watering that dirt by month 3.
But if you have the discipline to keep watering it, something miraculous happens in the 5th year. The bamboo finally shoots out of the ground and it grows 90 feet tall in just 6 weeks.
90 feet in 6 weeks? That is unbelievable. So wait, did the bamboo tree grow in 6 weeks, or did it grow in 5 years?
It grew in 5 years. During those first 4 years, the tree wasn't doing nothing. It was growing entirely underground. It was developing a massive, deep root system strong enough to eventually support a 90-foot tree.
So if you had dug up the seed after year 2 to check if it was working, you would have destroyed all the progress.
Exactly. And that's what we do when we quit. We're digging up the seed to check if it's growing, not realizing that we're killing the very thing we're trying to build.
If the tree had sprouted before the roots were ready, it would have immediately fallen over. The potential was just quietly building up beneath the surface.
And that's the same with language learning, with fitness, with any skill. The visible results are the last thing to show up, not the first. Your brain is building neural pathways. Your muscles are developing strength. Your tongue is learning new shapes. All of that is invisible work that has to happen before you see external results.
That gives me goosebumps. Whether it is heating the ice cube or watering the bamboo, the principle is the same. If you just have the patience to keep doing the daily work and stick to your routine, your fluency will eventually break through the surface.
Yes, and when it does, it will look like an overnight success to everyone else. But you will know the truth. You will know that the breakthrough happened because you realized that every single tiny action you took eventually added up. It compounds.
It is the 1% rule. You don't need to be 100% better today. You just need to be 1% better than you were yesterday. And if you trust that math, all of those tiny, invisible efforts will eventually pay off in ways you can't even imagine.
You stop relying on exhausting bursts of motivation, and you let the quiet power of consistency do the heavy lifting for you.
And the beautiful part is, once you understand this, you stop beating yourself up for not seeing immediate results. You stop comparing yourself to people who seem to be naturally talented. You realize they just watered their bamboo tree longer than you've watered yours.
They just trusted the process through 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31 degrees when nothing was visibly changing.
And that's the real secret. Not talent, not genius, just trust in the invisible work.
Now, let's make sure you have the exact vocabulary to talk about your own habits and progress.
We used some fantastic phrases to describe the psychology of habits. Let's start with the trap of intensity. I mentioned that when I get excited, I usually go all in.
Right. To go all in means to commit completely and put all of your energy and resources into something immediately. But because it is too intense, you inevitably burn out.
To burn out means to completely exhaust yourself, physically and mentally, from working too hard. And when that happens, you usually just give up.
To give up means to quit entirely and stop trying. This happens because we don't realize our potential is quietly building up, just like the heat in the ice cube or the roots of the bamboo tree.
To build up means to gradually accumulate or increase over time, remaining invisible until the foundation is strong. And if you wait long enough, you will finally break through.
To break through means to suddenly overcome a massive obstacle or make a sudden visible advancement. But to reach that point, you have to realize that small efforts add up.
To add up means to accumulate to a significant or meaningful amount over time.
Which is why you must have the discipline to stick to your routine. To stick to means to continue doing something consistently, even when it is boring or difficult.
And if you never quit, your consistency will ultimately pay off. To pay off means to yield successful, rewarding results after a long period of hard work.
And if you want more expressions for talking about habits, consistency, and long-term growth, check the pinned comment below.
You stop blaming yourself for a lack of talent, and you start speaking like someone who truly understands the power of compounding effort.
So here's our challenge. What's one thing you're going to commit to doing for just 15 minutes a day?
Maybe it's English practice. Maybe it's exercise. Maybe it's learning a new skill. Tell us in the comments.
And here's the hard part. You have to trust that even when you can't see progress, you're heating up the ice cube. You're watering the bamboo tree.
You're at 30 degrees, and 32 is coming. You just have to keep going.
And if this episode helped you understand why consistency beats intensity, if it gave you the patience to trust invisible work, share it with someone who keeps quitting too early.
Because the truth is, most people quit at 31 degrees. They give up one day before the breakthrough. And that's the real tragedy.
You stop going all in and burning out. You stop digging up your seeds to check if they're growing. You just water your bamboo tree for 15 minutes a day and trust the math.
And go back and check out some of our previous episodes too. We talk a lot about building sustainable habits and trusting the process.
Take care of yourselves, everyone. Keep watering your roots.
See you next time.
Bye, everyone.
Isn't this view incredible?
Yes, the sunset is magical. I could ride this train forever.